WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Puno.
Carlee Russell, after admitting to lying about her kidnapping and seeing a toddler on the side of I-459, expected to face charges in Alabama. A press conference called this afternoon by authorities who will announce specifics on the legal process going forward. Hello there to you folks. JB here with you live in the Stream Center, awaiting the feeds coming up here on my touchscreen and just keeping an eye here on the monitor, actually on the other side of the Stream Center, just keeping an eye on when exactly we get the podium shot for the press conference that has been called for 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. We're going to spend a good amount of time taking your comments because by now, if you're here on this live stream now, especially in the YouTube live comment section, hello YouTube. If you've been with us here on YouTube waiting for this live stream to begin, chances are you're very familiar with the Carlee Russell story. In the last couple of weeks, of course, that story becoming national and really international news as well. A woman who pulled off on the side of the road, called 911 claiming to see a toddler vanishing for a period of 49 hours in central Alabama, reappears at her parents' house that Saturday night, and then days later admits that there was never a kidnapping or an abduction, as she had told police initially in her initial statement, and also, too, that there was never a toddler on the side of Interstate 459 in Hoover, Alabama. It was all a made-up story. As to why exactly it was made up, that really remains the question. But as people know, breaking the law is breaking the law. So if the law was broken in Alabama, you would expect charges to be filed. And that is, of course, what has been playing, going on behind the scenes with the district attorney there in central Alabama, with authorities determining what is the appropriate course of action in regards to Carlee Russell. So here in the Stream Center, waiting for the feeds to actually become available. What happens over the course of the coming really 15, 20 minutes is camera crews will be permitted inside the building where this press conference will be taking place. They'll turn on their cameras, they'll distribute. It becomes available here on my touchscreen. We tap it, and then, of course, we're live to bring you that press conference in high definition, live across all platforms. So saying hello to our audience joining us. And what I'd like to do is, because as I noted at the beginning of this live stream, if you're here now in our comment section, chances are you are very familiar with the story. And you might have been one of the people who shared out news of Carlee Russell's disappearance, hoping that it would be a happy ending and not a controversial one. But here we have the controversy with this story. And what I'd like to do is we're going to do a poll question. And the poll is going to be simple. If charges are to be filed against Carlee Russell, do you agree with the decision? It's that simple. Because by now, I'm sure a lot of folks are just very up to speed on this story and educated enough to have an opinion on this matter. So we're going to ask that exclusively on YouTube Live in the WFLA YouTube Live comment section. You should see that poll animate on your screen. And what I'll do is I'll start to look out for your hashtag HeyJB questions and comments. If it's your first time on stream, welcome. Welcome into WFLA Now. What we're going to do is just quickly explain how it works. If you don't want your comment to be spotlighted and featured on screen, that's totally okay. You're welcome here. We just ask that you don't use our hashtag system. You see underneath my name here on the left side of your screen, it says hashtag HeyJB. And you'll see it here in the bug as well, hashtag HeyJB. If you use that hashtag, you're basically saying, hey, JB, please feature my comment. It'll have your name, your profile picture animated on screen. But again, if you don't want your comment to be featured, just don't use the hashtag. You can continue to comment back and forth with your fellow audience members. So let's, for the first time, look in and this is very interesting. And I think this poll could have been more specific, I'm sure. But Sarah says hashtag KJB. I voted no because it depends on what the charges are. This is a very, very smart response here from Sarah, because are they going to be misdemeanor charges? Are there any felony charges that could be possible? Fox News reported in talking to the assistant DA, and I'll read this from Fox News. Their website. It says that according to Jefferson County Chief Assistant District Attorney Lane Tolbert, police are seeking to charge Russell with false reporting to law enforcement authorities and falsely reporting an incident, both of which are misdemeanors and carry a maximum punishment of 1 year in jail. I don't like too often putting out polls that at this stage in the story, especially, there's a legal process that has to play out here. You are innocent until you're proven guilty. And should Carlee Russell face charges, we don't know if she's going to what plea she would enter, if she would plead guilty, try to come to a deal with the district attorney's office, or whether or not a deal would be offered, or if she would plead not guilty for. There's a couple of different reasons why she would plead not guilty, but that of course would lead to her day in court. So back to Sarah's comment, it really does depend on what the charges are. But for what it's worth, we put it out there. Just if she is to be charged, regardless of what the charges are, do you agree with the decision to proceed with charges? The idea here is if she, in fact, and again, based on her statement that she provided to authorities in the press conference that we carried earlier this week, if she did have this elaborate plan to make this up for whatever reason, was it to receive attention, social media fame? What the reason could have been still eludes us, or what the reason is still eludes us. But if she did come up with this elaborate plan, do you believe if she broke the law, should she face charges? I mean, that's really what this question mostly boils down to. And it's going to be hard to find too many people in our comment section who are going to say, yeah, she broke the law, but I think that we should, cut her some slack. Or people, I think, mostly agree. I'm speaking for you, our commenters. People mostly agree that the law applies to everybody. And now we have talked about whether or not there's a mental health component to this case. That has sparked an emotional reaction for people in our comment section. People saying, look, she might have had a sudden mental health breakdown, or other commenters have said mental health can't be a scapegoat when the law is inconveniently not in your favor. So that the mental health component to this case is emotional for a lot of people and does prompt a response one way or the other, usually from a lot of people in my coverage of the story and reading through thousands of comments. But that's where we are with this particular story. What are the charges going to be, and how are things going to proceed going forward? She has not been arrested as of this hour, just a heads up. And also, too, really quickly, I made a lot of calls on this story yesterday. And as I was making calls, the expectation was this press conference was going to be taking place Thursday, July 27th. But there was a jurisdictional matter that needed to get cleared up. That's something I can confidently report. It was a jurisdictional matter that had to get cleared up, which is the reason why it didn't get held yesterday as originally intended, and why this press conference is being held this Friday, July 28th, 2023. So that jurisdictional matter, I've heard a couple of things. I don't want to get much into specifics. It'll be so water under the bridge really in an hour from now. But yes, that was the reason why the press conference was not held yesterday. All right, reading through some of your comments. Let me quickly remind our audience, I'm going to spotlight some more comments on screen. We are now 15 minutes away, 15 minutes from that press conference getting underway in Jefferson County, Alabama. Again, the press conference where we're expected to hear from authorities on the charges that are filed. That is, again, according to reports and also to a lot of phone calls that I've been making, charges are expected at this press conference. What those charges are, look, we had the Fox News report. We read that out. Again, 2 misdemeanor charges potentially on the table that could lead to a maximum punishment of 1 year in prison. All right, reading through some of your comments. Jeff, yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way as Jeff. Hashtag AJB. What is the purpose of having laws if they're not enforced? If there are laws that were broken and the person admits that they are at fault, isn't the expectation that there is going to be charges filed. If you do not proceed with charges, you are opening up a massive can of worms, are you not? For copycat behavior in other cities, other states across the country. If Carlee Russell got away with it, what makes me any different? Could be the line of thinking for somebody else. Taylor wants to know, can the parents be charged with anything? The parents can be charged if they are found to have committed a crime. But if you go back to the most recent press conference earlier this week, again, talking about the parents, they do not find, as of this, at that stage in the investigation, it did not seem as if they planned on pursuing the parents based on where the investigation stood at that time. So this is expected to be focused on Carlee Russell. Let's see here. We're going to have to relaunch for Facebook Live here momentarily. And I just want to send a note here to our team about where the camera crews might be getting let into the building where this press conference is going to be taking place a little bit late, because usually by now, 15 minutes or now 12 minutes out, usually by now we have a feed. We have multiple avenues to get this feed. Different camera crews that have indicated that they will be feeding back a signal, and we will be able to access those feeds here in the stream center. But at this time, no feeds have been fired up just yet. So if you're looking for that podium shot, you're looking for where this press conference is going to be taking place, don't go anywhere. We'll have it in the coming minutes. I keep looking this way to check for those feeds here again in the WFLA Now Stream Center. All right, some other comments. You can see they're scrolling on my screen here. Robin James, this is really a big question that persists in our comment section. Any details on an accomplice? Let's point this out. We still do not know where Carlee Russell went for 49 hours. Did she go to someone's house? Did she go to a local movie theater? Did she go to a local business and just find a closet somewhere? Was she in the woods? All of these different ideas as to where she could have been over those 49 hours, we just don't know. But people want to know, was there somebody who knowingly took her in while the search was ongoing? And did that person understand that there was this massive search underway? And did that person have anything to do with concealing where she might have been? Look, there has been zero details. I want to emphasize this. There's been zero information provided on if anybody else helped Carlee Russell. She said that she acted alone in her statement. Now, people are going to point to that statement and say, how do we believe somebody who lied on a 911 call and lied to police? How do we believe that? Well, I think that's a very fair point. But for what it's worth, FWIW is something I use in texts all the time. FWIW, for what it's worth, Carlee says that she acted alone. But where she was for those 49 hours is a major question. All right. And just like that, as promised, here we have the very first shot coming up. We expect to get multiple press conference feeds. But really, it's all going to, and look, see, now we'll hit the touchscreen again. I guess the camera crews were all let in at the same time, because there we have the shot. And both are looking pretty crystal clear. Guys, take your pick. You like A or you like B? It won't really matter. We're going to be listening in for mic checks, but we're going to take the signal with the highest quality. Something, of course, that is very important to you, our audience, to get a feed that is reliable and with a steady signal and is HD. And, of course, that's important to us as well for distribution purposes. But, yes, that is a current look at the podium as it's been set up. And as soon as they start doing mic checks, we will be listening in for those mic checks to make sure that audio is coming through crystal clear. In the meantime, let's go back to some of the questions and comments that are coming in. There's some really, unfortunately, look, I can't put up some of these comments. They have hashtag HAB, but they are, mean. They're mean. I know the people are angry and they're frustrated because they felt like they were deceived, and they feel like, can't blame anybody for feeling like this sets a very bad precedent as far as a woman who said that she was missing, said that she was abducted, kidnapped, if you will, said that she saw a toddler on the side of the road, and then saying that she acted alone in misinforming authorities. I understand that people are very upset, very frustrated. Still, I can see it in your comments. Again, comments that I just can't put up on screen. But we will now see how the legal process will play out. And if Carlee Russell is, according to authorities, said to have committed a crime, then will they proceed with charges to hold her accountable? Let's remind our audience. We've covered a lot of stories, and there's a there's a few big ones that we've covered here on stream, where just because you do the wrong thing doesn't mean you committed a crime. Doing the wrong thing and committing a crime, violating the law, they're different things. You can do something ethically that's really messed up and not break any laws and not have to face legal consequences. So let's remember. But according to the assistant DA, and look, just based on logic of the concept of filing a false police report, the concept is, and the belief is, that Carlee Russell broke at least one law in lying to investigators, lying to police about being kidnapped, and starting this massive 49-hour search for her in Central Alabama and beyond. Folks, what we have to do now is we have to reset. We are currently live. Let's see how many people are joining us. We're live right now on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, WFLA.com, for north of 15,000 people, people filing in. What we will do is we are going to take a 60-second break to launch on Facebook Live and other platforms so that people continue to file in here. People can continue to file in here and join us for, again, the press conference that should be beginning in about 5 minutes' time. If you're looking for the press conference, you found it. We're going to, of course, I'm going to be quiet. We're going to go to it full screen here as soon as it begins, and that starts next here on WFLA Now. Back in 60 seconds.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JV Buno.
Carlee Russell, the woman who admitted to lying about her own kidnapping and lying about seeing a toddler on the side of I-459, expected to face charges today in Alabama. A press conference called this afternoon by authorities. That press conference is expected to begin any moment here on WFLA Now. Hello there, folks. JB here with you live. Now across all platforms here from the WFLA Now Stream Center. Let's hit the touchscreen. Let's take you out there to Alabama and show you the podium. This press conference has been called for 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. And we'll, of course, be listening in. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to take some questions and comments out of our Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment sections. And then at 2 o'clock, when the press conference actually, in fact, begins, of course, I will be quiet. We will be listening in, hearing what the latest is on the Carlee Russell investigation. But per reports coming out of Alabama and beyond, charges are expected. If you believe the Fox News report, those charges are going to be 2 misdemeanor charges with a maximum penalty of 1 year behind bars. So you can see various members of the media. They are getting ready for that press conference when it does, in fact, begin at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, which is approximately 2.5 minutes from now. So here in the Stream Center, folks, what we'll be doing is reviewing some of your questions, some of your comments. We did have a question asked via a YouTube question that was put out. And we asked, if charges are to be filed against Carlee Russell, do you agree with the decision? We had Sarah who chimed in with a really smart sort of response, saying that she voted no simply because she doesn't know what the charges are. It depends on what the charges are. But for what it's worth, again, an unscientific social media poll, more than 94% of people expect there to be charges filed here today. And so, again, there's the press conference. We have another feed, a backup feed, if you will, from another camera crew in the building. Of course, various members of the media that have all gathered here today for the Hoover Police press conference. I think we're expected to hear from the DAs. Let's listen in.
All good? All good. All right, 2-minute warning. 2 minutes.
All right, there you hear the 2-minute warning. So again, JB here within the Stream Center, folks. The press conference will be starting here momentarily. After the... You hear some chatter there with some of the reporters in the room who are, of course, I'm sure expecting charges themselves as far as this press conference. All signs are pointing to that as far as what Hoover Police and the DA's office will be sharing. So again, the press conference is about to begin in about we'll call it 60, 90 seconds now. After the press conference is done, what we will be doing is spending some time with you on stream and breaking down what we have learned and what we still don't know. We might get a investigative update on this case, whether or not a second statement has been provided, whether or not Carlee Russell has actually had that second interview with detectives. It might be more than charges, but we really don't know. We're about to find out in a matter of moments here. We'll go now live full screen. We'll be listening in. And again, after the press conference concludes, we'll be getting your reaction out of the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter comment sections with #KJB. So after the press conference is done, stick around. And again, you're watching here live from the Hoover Police Department in Central Alabama, live across all platforms here on WFLA Now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Frank and Pam Bearfield Training Center. I'm Captain Keith Sescaliba with the Hoover Police Department, and we're here today to provide you with the latest update in the Carlee Russell investigation. Joining me at the podium today will be Police Chief Nick Durzis, followed by Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall. Chief Durzis will make a prepared statement. After Chief Durzis' statement is over with, Attorney General Marshall will also offer a few comments. Once that is completed, both gentlemen will return to the podium, and you guys will have an opportunity to ask questions. With that, I will turn it over to Chief Durzis.
Thank you, Captain. Good afternoon. Earlier today, Hoover Police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of Carlee Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case. Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as the concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. Numerous law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, began working tirelessly not only to bring Carlee home to her family, but locate a kidnapper that we know now never existed. Many private citizens volunteered their time and energy into looking for a potential kidnapping victim that we know now was never in any danger. This story opened wounds for families whose loved ones really were victims of kidnappings, some of which even helped organize searches in hopes they could find Carlee's alive so that her family would not experience the pain and suffering that they felt when their loved ones never returned home. As we know, actions can have consequences, and that's why we're here today. This afternoon, Carlee Russell, with the assistance of her attorney, turned herself into the Hoover City Jail, where she was arrested for the following charges: false reporting to law enforcement authorities, a Class A misdemeanor, $1,000 bond; falsely report an incident, a Class A misdemeanor with a $1,000 bond. Each of these charges carry up to a year in jail and potential fine of $6,000 upon conviction. Ms. Russell was released from jail after posting bond. We initially presented this case to District Attorney Lanice Washington, who agreed to handle prosecution through district court. After consulting with the Circuit Court of Jefferson County Bessemer Division, the case was referred back to municipal court for charging because the only applicable charges were misdemeanors. Judging from the amount of phone calls and emails that we've received from people all over the country, I know many are shocked and appalled that Ms. Russell is only being charged with 2 misdemeanors, despite all the panic and disruption her actions caused. Let me assure you, I too share the same frustration, but existing laws only allow the charges that were filed to be filed. I can tell you that I will be contacting our state legislatures on behalf of law enforcement in Montgomery and asking them to look at this law applied to these facts and urge them to add an enhancement to current legislation when somebody falsely reports kidnapping or another violent crime. Because of the attention this case has garnered, we've requested Attorney General Steve Marshall's office adopt this case, and they've agreed to do so. The Hoover Police Department wants to thank everyone that assisted us from the beginning and continues to assist us in this case as we work its way through the criminal justice system. Joining me at the podium today is the State of Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall.
Thank you, Chief. Let me begin by commending Hoover Police Department Chief Durzis for his leadership in this investigation. Obviously, this captured many's attention as a result of not only the allegations themselves, but also the concern about a possible victim and being able to return her home. The work that was done by the Hoover Police Department was monumental in its lift, and the results of that work you are seeing come to fruition today with the charges that have been levied. I also want to commend the many other men and women of both state and federal law enforcement for their work collaboratively with the Hoover Police Department and assisting in this investigation. Chief, appreciate the opportunity to be able to partner with you in this prosecution. We will dedicate a team to be able to help the city of Hoover in handling these 2 individual charges and look forward to bringing this case to fruition. One thing I would add is that we don't see this as a victimless crime. There are significant hours spent resources expended as a result of this investigation. And not only that, but the many men and women who are civilians that wore those yellow vests on a hot afternoon and evening looking for someone they thought was abducted, trying to be of assistance. We intend to fully prosecute this case and look forward to working with the Hoover Police Department moving forward. We also would tell you that we will continue to monitor this investigation to determine whether or not there are any additional charges that need to be brought, and we'll evaluate those as the facts are presented.
Thank you.
All right, this time we'll open the floor to questions. If you'll please raise your hand and identify yourself and your affiliation when I call on you.
Yeah, David Lamb, CBS 42. This question for Mr. Attorney General. What is it about this case that made it rise to the level to where it was a case that you wanted to take on?
We handle cases across the state. We have jurisdiction throughout for both misdemeanors and felonies. And when Chief Judges asked for our assistance, we were more than happy to be able to assist.
Is it common for you all to be involved in misdemeanors like a case like this?
It's not uncommon.
Right here.
Keith Mims, WAGG 610, 100.1 FM, Summit Media. Chief, this question is for you.
Yes.
What time was Carlee arrested today with her attorney, and has she made bail?
She has. She was processed in our facility within the past hour.
Do you expect any charges to be forthcoming with her parents, or is this just all on Carlee at this point?
So at this point, and again, I think anything is, all as the Attorney General said, their team will also be searching through our files, and we'll find out what they say.
Carol.
Carol Robinson with AL.com. Have you, since we spoke last in the press conference, been able to retrace where she was during the 49 hours she was missing, and have you determined if she was with anyone else during that time?
We have not found anything out on either one of your two questions.
Right here.
Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 News. Has there been any decision about a possible civil suit against Carlee and or her family? Also, what impact would this have on Hoover Police Department filing a suit have on the criminal case as well?
Yeah, we have not discussed that. Of course, we talked about the hours of overtime and all the significant resources that we used. And we'll certainly be talking to the Attorney General's office about possibly getting some of those funds returned to us.
Lisa Crane, WGTN 13. In an earlier press conference, you outlined some items you had taken from her employer. Any potential theft charges for that?
Those would have taken place in another jurisdictions. We would not have charges ourselves.
Ashleen Robinson, WVRC. Chief, do you mind repeating those charges and fines one more time for us?
Sure. False reporting to law enforcement authorities, Class A misdemeanor with $1,000 bond. Falsely reporting an incident, a Class A misdemeanor with a $1,000 bond.
Chief, I know you mentioned this the last time we were together. Just wondering if you have any update on an idea of the cost that the Hoover Police Department expended in those 49 hours Carlee Russell was missing. And one final question, do you at this point have any more information if Carlee Russell acted alone or anyone helped her?
Yeah, we have not finished, obviously, the 49 hours. We've been certainly busy since her return, so I still don't have a total on that, and we don't have any idea where Carlee Russell was 49 hours.
Right here.
Keith Mims, WAGG 610. Chief, let me ask you this. Going forward, there's been a lot of concern in the community as per young Black and brown females being reported missing. Would Hoover and other agencies have the same fervor going forward as they did with the case with Carlee Russell?
Absolutely. This, as I said initially, our focus was bringing Carlee home when she got home. And then our focus has been to find out if there was a kidnapping. We find out there's not. We work every case like all of the law enforcement does. So I don't have any concern anywhere that would be an issue.
And can I echo what Chief said? I've been in law enforcement for 27 years.
Yes, sir.
Been in law enforcement throughout this state. I've never seen anybody interested in the color of your skin in investigating a criminal case. And I expect, regardless of your gender, your race, when that report is filed, that Alabama law enforcement is going to do its job.
Valerie Bell, ABC 3340. What was her emotional state when she arrived to the jail today, and is she seeking any help at this point in time?
I was not there, so I really can't tell you exactly. I really don't know anything else.
All right, last question.
Ashleen Robinson, WVRC. Chief, what are next steps after this? What is going to happen next?
Well, right now, the Attorney General's office attorneys will start dealing with our detectives and going through case files and preparing prosecution, I presume.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Will y'all be releasing a mugshot?
Yes, we will momentarily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Puno.
Carlee Russell turns herself in on misdemeanor charges after an arrest warrant is obtained in Alabama. And now the legal process will play forward, as of course, so many call for her to be held responsible for allegedly making up a story to law enforcement. Hello, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now, jotting down a lot of notes here after this press conference. And we're going to get to your reaction. This part of our live stream is now really focused on your reaction. And that's why we have our hashtag system. You can use hashtag KJB if you want your opinion to be heard. Do you agree with law enforcement? Do you agree with what was stated? The 2 misdemeanor charges related to false reporting of an incident.
Anything he wants with you, ain't nothing you can do about it.
Money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game.
Scratching and scrambling most of my days to get where I got.
Not sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them.
Now, I eats in the big house kitchen. I got pine boards on the floor of my cabin.
I crumble. My children crumble. My grandchildren crumble.
And it don't take much coughing for the master to make me have a cup of corn whiskey for my medicine.
I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement.
Now that is fine living for a nigga, and I'll be damned if any African Guinea man is gonna make me lose all I've been working for. Now you take my
There are ways to win the war in a different way.
better learn. You best learn or you're gonna get the bloody back for sure.